Hello and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mawani. I hope you all are doing good, my dear friends. I'm sure you all are playing with colors and holy enjoyment is going on. So we have some important topics on our table. So let's just see one by one all of them. Today I'm going to do it a bit differently. I'm going to give you a brief about all these articles and then we will analyze them. So first one is going to be oil's route. It's about demand and supply, why the price of oil has dropped so drastically in oil market, things associated with it, and OPEC plus, and there are other things that we are going to talk about in detail. Then we have this article on Yes Bank, the cost of a yes to a bank rescue act. This one is about SBI's plan, and there are other things associated with it. We have talked about SBI's plan earlier on as well, isn't it? So there are a few important points that you find in this article, and then we are going to jump on to this article, Beneath the Yes Mess, Some Stark Truths. Very interesting, very important article. This article explains the reason why we find this sort of situation, or why we frequently find this sort of news items. Like earlier on, Kingfisher was in news. Then you have this Yes Bank, and there are other big names as well, big famous promoters, and their companies are not doing that well. So this rise and fall, we are going to understand the main reason behind it. And the fourth one that we have got is about Ayushman Bharat, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. What are the issues associated with it? We are going to talk about innovation, like why innovation is important, cost cutting is important, 15th Finance Commission's estimation about the cost of PMJ scheme, and some hurdles. Then you have three articles. This one is about women power. This one is not about this international Women's Day. It's about cricket, right? How India is performing this women's cricket and things like that. So if you are interested in cricket, then yes, go for it. You can read it. As far as your examination is concerned, not that important. This one is about Beam Army, again, something to do with a political party, and this new group called Beam Group, and their ambitions and things like that. Not again important for your examination. And this one is about misery in Haiti. Haiti is a country. So I have two questions for you, right? I'm sure you have to open your atlas for finding this answer. So first question is, can you give me the name of the capital of Haiti? And the second one is, give me the region in which you find this country, Haiti. So these are two questions for you today. Now let me give you a brief about this article, Misery in Haiti. This one is about the politics of this country, Haiti, how it used to be under dictatorship for a very long period of time. A family used to run this country, then they saw some military coups, and then later on some democratic elections, not that fair, and then you had this big cyclone storm, and then again elections and things like that. So it's basically about the politics of Haiti, not important for your examination. Yes, from general knowledge point of view, you can have a quick glance over it, but nothing that much important, right? So four important articles on our table. Let's crack on. But before that, I would like to inform all of you that now you have only 2 days to go for this big holy sale. So make the most out of it. You are getting 70% discount, which is not bad at all. It's a very good offer. Make the most out of it. All information pertaining to it available on studyiq.com. If you have any further question, queries, doubts, feel free and give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. Download the PDF of today's lecture from these two sources. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Right, so the first one that we have on our table is oil's route. Now we all know the impact of coronavirus on global market. What was going on before coronavirus? It was this tariff war, and we know it very well that because of a tariff war, this trade war that is still going on between USA and China, this war had a negative impact on global economy, because First of all, the USA is one of the biggest, right? Number one, and number two is China as far as the size of economies are concerned. So slowdown was already going on. Then we had this coronavirus phase that is going on at present. So things are very bad for global market. Now, a few days ago, they had this meeting of OPEC plus. You have this OPEC group, and when you say OPEC plus, then you add Russia with it. So this becomes OPEC plus. So this OPEC plus group, some 3 years ago, they had this agreement between these nations, or this group plus Russia, that they are going to keep the price of they will do everything that is possible to make sure that the price of oil in global market is reasonable. It is bit higher. Basically, this all countries are this OPEC plus Russia. All these nations are oil producing countries. Now, this business is interesting one, right? What happens is you have to create this whole setup, right? Right. Of course, we know oil is a natural resource, but to take out that natural resource, right, there are so many other expenses. You need that whole setup to pump this oil out. Then you need to store it. Then you need to refine it and transport it. There are so many people, they are working for you. Then this is not just the one oil. You have to keep on doing exploration, and there are so many things, right? It looks easy, but it's not that easy business. Like every other business, they have this break-even point. Break-even point is a point where there is no profit, no loss, right? So you are neither making loss nor profit. So every business has to at least, right, the minimum that you should achieve is break-even point. If things are not good, if you are losing customers, if external factors are not in your favor, then the minimum that you will try to stick somewhere above break-even point, right? I'm not saying, it's very logical to understand that I don't want to make loss. If I'm not making profit, then I don't want to make loss either, isn't it? So this is break-even point. So you have to, like make something, right? One barrel, let's say minimum you have to sell it for 50 barrel. I'm just giving you a rough example. $50 per barrel. Let's say if this is your break even point, so you will try to sell it as expensively as possible, isn't it, so that you can make extra money. But it all depends on demand and supply. Now, if global economy is going through a slowdown phase, so naturally you are not getting more orders. If you are not getting more orders from your customers, then you are not going to buy more raw material. So naturally, if you are not purchasing more raw material, then those first 5 trucks used to deliver things to you on regular basis, but now only 3 trucks are coming. So less consumption of oil. So this is just one example, one business, one example. Now we can imagine there are thousands and lakhs of businesses around the world, crores of businesses around the world. So if slowdown is going on, then less fuel will be required. Now, as I told you, that this is a break-even point. You have to produce a fixed amount of oil to keep your head out of water. But what happens when oil is excessive, or the supply is high and demand is low? The price will fall down, isn't it? So this OPEC plus, this group decided that they are going to reduce the production so that we can control the supply of oil in the market. If supply is having a sort of equilibrium with the demand, then we can get good money. If supply goes up and demand is down, then price will fall. If demand goes up and supply is down, then again price will increase. So this is how it works, right? So they decided that they are going to control their production. They will not flood this market, international market, with oil. It was decided by this group. But last week, right, there was a sort of issue between Saudi Arabia and Russia, and finally Saudi Arabia has decided that it is going to go ahead with the output. It is going to increase its production. It's not going to follow this OPEC plus agreement. And because of this decision, the price of oil has crashed overnight. It is $31 a barrel. And they say that experts are saying that if Russia will join this battle, if Russia will increase its production, then the price of oil can drop to $20 per barrel. And this is going to bring some good news for countries like India, and it's going to bring some good as well as bad news. There are a few sectors they will benefit out of it. A few countries will benefit out of it, and a few of them will lose. Now, let's take example of China. China is going through a slowdown phase because of this coronavirus, and China has cut its imports by a third from Saudi Arabia. Now, mind you, Saudi Arabia's biggest customer as far as oil is concerned is China. So you can imagine if production will go up, if supply will increase, then price will go down further. So this is good for a country, good news for a country like India, because we we import 85% of our oil from international market. We get our 85% of fuel from international market. So early on we used to pay, let's say, $50 for 1 barrel, but now we will pay about 30. So we are saving $20. So this will be good for our current account deficit, isn't it? Then it will have its you can say good impact as well on us, on our economy. Like the cost of transportation will go down, so inflation will go down. Inflation goes down, then it will create a sort of a demand for various different products. So this will help our local manufacturing. More jobs can be created. Government will earn extra revenue because international price, if it goes down, then government will not to reduce the duty, it will adjust with the price it will reduce. Let's say we are paying 70 rupees for petrol, depending on various different states, because it's still not under GST. So let's say 35 rupees is duty and 35 rupees is actual cost. So government will reduce this thing, right? 35 will stay as it is. Government can reduce this other 35, so it will become 30. So we'll pay 65. We are not going to find our fuel that cheap. It's not going to be 50 or 20 or 30 rupees, right? It's going to be 65, something like that. So in this case, what will happen? Government will get fixed amount of this tax that it is getting, and the consumption will go up. So if consumption goes up, then more revenue for government, then more businesses, they will do better because of less this drop in price of oil. So inflation going down and new demand will come up, and so more business, more transactions. More transactions means more revenue for the government. So it's good for revenue, good news for government, right, in terms of revenue. Bad news for the central government's disinvestment program, a sale of BPCL, a company that is associated with the oil business. It's not going to find customer in this phase, and it's also bad for big oil companies. Many companies may default, so it may impact banks and bond markets. So these are some negatives and some positives. So that's basically everything. I'm sure you have understood all the things that we have discussed, isn't it? This demand and supply, how it works, and how these tensions between few countries can create positive as well as negative things for our country because of this 85%, right? We are importing 85% of our oil from other countries. Moving on to the cost of a Yes to a Bank Rescue Act. A revival package has been announced by State Bank of India. Now, this basically bailout is by Government of India, isn't it? Because it's whole chain. Government of India owes RBI, SBI, and now SBI is helping this private company called Yes Bank. So eventually, we can say that at the end of the day, directly, indirectly, Government of India is trying to bail out this Yes Bank. SBI Chairman Rajneesh Kumar has announced that his bank is willing to outlay as much as 10,000 crore rupees to recapitalize ailing Yes Bank and restore it to health. Now, the reason why we need to restore its health, it's a private business, right? If it is falling down, then let it fall down. Let nature take its own call. But the thing is, we cannot do that is because there are so many people who are associated, so many businesses, so many firms, so many people, right? The big and small depositors are involved. And people are, people deposit or they have bank accounts with private banks because private banks, they pay higher interest rate. So this is a point of attraction. And if this Yes Bank falls down, if it collapses, then it will take with it other companies as well. For example, there are so many firms and agents dependent on Yes Bank. I'll give you one example. Let's imagine that you have one infrastructure project going on, and let's say this project is worth 100 crore rupees, right? So you have applied for a construction loan with Yes Bank. Yes Bank has approved the money as well. Now Yes Bank has supplied you with let's say 5 crore. You have done construction, half a building construction is over. Now you need 5 more crores for rest half, but now Yes Bank is under moratorium, so you will not get this 5 crore, and you have took some money from your customers. Now this customers, right, this project will get delayed. You cannot get a new loan this phase, right, all of a sudden. So can you imagine, this is just one business, how many people they will lose their job, so many people will be under stress, so many families will go under stress because of this thing. So we have to make sure, the government has to make sure that we have to stop this chain reaction. It can become like a big snowball, the more it will roll down, it will get bigger, and its speed will increase as well, and it will destroy so many things with it while it's coming down. So SBI stepping in is a good thing, right? And yesterday in daily financial news analysis, we discussed this thing that I would like to add here, that there are so many investors. As per SBI is having a discussion with some 6 investors, potential investors who are interested in investing in this Yes Bank. So with SBI, if we can get some big names on board, then we can rescue this banks. One problem is that it's not something that this bubble has busted all of a sudden. From last 2 years, things were not that well with this bank. So why this delay is a big question, right? And this article is also talking about some things that we need to fix, like governance issues and things like that. But now let's directly jump on to this article, because this article is more interesting and it takes us to this core of the issue, right? Why we find this sort of things. The collapse of Yes Bank is the tale of a promoter who ran amok, treating a publicly listed bank as his private bank. And this is not the first case, right? The bank's story is similar to many recent stories of large listed companies that went bust, like say for example Kingfisher. So the question is why we find, like, it looks that these guys will never fail. They are, outstanding people. They know how to do business, and, they are at a very top level. They have good friends, and there are so many things. We see their lives, and it looks like they will never fall down. Means it's impossible. But now you find that they are going in jail, and some of them are absconding. So why these sort of things are going on? This is a big question. And this article is, to an extent, it answers these questions as well. Now, it's very interesting to note that Yes Bank has failed because a publicly listed bank, right? It has to follow Companies Act, it has to follow SEBI's Act, it has to follow RBI's guidelines and things. And then as well, if it has failed, then this is a big issue. And there is also a pattern in the failure of such promoters who run these firms. They treat their business, they treat their firms like publicly listed firms and banks. They treat them like private company. If you have a private company, right, if you are the only investor, if you are the only owner, then you can do whatever you like because you are the owner, right? You are the main captain of the ship. But when you are publicly listed, there are so many stakeholders. There are people who have invested in your company. So you cannot run it like a private company. You have to follow rules and regulations. There are procedures, isn't it? Now the thing is that listed companies are run by boards, and this is the most important thing to understand, that they are run by boards. So you have a CEO on your screen. You have this picture. So let's say that this lady here, she is a CEO, and then you have other members. These are board members, right? So there is a CEO and managing director who runs the company but is answerable to the board, right? The CEO has to answer to the board. Now, what we are finding nowadays is more and more independent directors are part of this board, and these independent directors are appointed by CEOs. So they will not say anything that is against the CEO. So just imagine if I am appointing you as a director, I have to answer you. I am the CEO, I am running the whole show, right? I have appointed you. So if, let's say, if you are not doing what means if you are going against me, then I will replace you with someone else. Isn't it simple as that? So I'm always going to be your boss. So I can never expect that you will go against me. Yes, if there is something wrong, then you will come to me and you can have a discussion with me. But if I have this authority to appoint you and remove you, then I can easily replace you with someone else. So this is something that is dangerous. What has happened is this board of directors, they are most of the time sleepy. They are not actively taking part in discussions. Even if they are not. They will never go against the CEO. And most of them are nowadays. Not nowadays, but for a very long period of time, this has been a practice. Like you appoint bureaucrats, retired top-level bureaucrats, former public sector heads, former diplomats, former generals. You appoint all of them as your directors because they have good connections with the departments and with government. Just imagine that you have one person, right? Let's say you have this department, and the main boss of this department has retired. Let's say, assume that he was an IAS officer, and now he is one of your board of director. He is part of your board of directors. So he was a boss of this department, and then you have junior IAS officers, right? They have worked under this person. So now, if this person is part of this board, then if he has something to do with this, needs some license or permission or something, then it's going to be a bit easy, isn't it? We can understand, because in future the same IAS, he will be looking for the same post. I'm not saying everyone is doing this thing, but we find this thing as well. So in future, this junior IAS, who is now the head of this department, when he will retire, he or she will retire, they will find they need something, isn't it? From where they can get good amount of money, good cars, and corporate world, traveling to various different countries, and so many perks and pays and things like that. So we have this nexus. The other problem that we find in our country is that when things are going okay, and when a company is making profit, when your Kingfisher airline was making profit, Kingfisher business was making profit, and when things were going perfect, right? At that point of time, everyone used to praise Vijay Mallya. Like he was a hero, he was an icon, right? The shareholders used to love him, media used to write good things about him, share market was doing very well, and his company was doing very well. He was having good friends in government, and banks were also happy as far as this loans and payments, when everything was coming on time. So in good times, Kingfisher, king of good time. This is their tagline as well, isn't it? Kingfisher, king of good time. So when this good time was going on, everyone was okay with, or they were on Vijay Mallya's side. Even if Vijay Mallya used to take this money out of this company and use it for his personal expenses, and all these things are going on, and that means these things, I'm not saying going on, I mean to say that this is something very common, right? If my company is making huge amount of money, then what I will do is I will take out a chunk of money and I will invest it in some other business of mine and make more money and things. So if I'm flaunting some rules and regulations here and there, then no one will complain and go against me, because I'm an icon. I'm doing, good time is going on. But all of a sudden, when things, when they are not doing that well, all these stakeholders, shareholders and media, then market and government and bank, everyone will climb on that person. So what we need to do now, this is the main problem here, that you don't, means when things are going okay, you don't question, you don't ask hard questions, you don't emphasize, you don't stick with rules, you allow this sort of, going out of rule and crossing these boundaries. And this is something that Western world, over there as well, you have this corporate transgressions. But regulators do not spare the promoter, howsoever iconic they may be. Elon Musk, we have example of Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. In the past, they have been fined as well if they have crossed the lines. So regulators should not punish the company for the sins of the promoters, right? They should punish the promoters and the company, right? There are so many people dependent on it. So of course, saving this company is, or protecting this Yes Bank from falling down, is important for our economy and so many people as well. Now let's talk about a health scheme. Sans clout is going to be easy to understand. We are not going to talk about the basic things of a PMJAY scheme. Here our focus is going to be with operations of this operations. When I say I'm not talking about medical operations, I'm talking about the business operations. So the major focus of this Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Yojana has been mainstreaming transformative technologies in the healthcare system, A, and B is boosting innovation in delivery. And there are three intentions: cost cutting, improving care quality, and bridging existing gaps in service provisions. And all these things are okay and good. Now, the problem is 15th Finance Commission's report estimates that the coverage cost of this full coverage cost, hospital rates, expenditure, everything, 2019 level, is going to be 28,000 crore to 74,000 crore rupees, somewhere between this two. So it's the range between 28 and 74 is quite wide and quite high. And for 2023, this Finance Commission estimates that it's going to double. So things are getting more and more expensive. So of course we need to control the cost. Isn't it? Containing cost is one of the most important thing. Now to implement this ABPMJAY, we have this National Health Authority, and this NHA has set up an innovation unit under it so that it can promote indigenous cost-effective technologies. Now we have various different startups, healthcare technology startups, and they are coming out with impressive range of products and solutions through which we can cut down cost and we can deliver the service. But not all innovative and healthcare solutions are cost you can say effective, not cost effective, but they are not all of them are cheap, I would say, right? Some of them are very expensive. So innovation is something that we need in medical sector. At the same time, we have to control the cost as well. So we have this telemedicine, drone technology for delivering some medicines at remote places, delivering blood and other things. We are using drones in many places. So these things are helping, of course, but these are not the only things. We have to focus on operational processes, like how we can create a business model through which we can reduce our cost. For example, reducing cost through robust procurement systems for supplies, and cost minimizing substitutions like using generic medicines. The places where you don't need a doctor, you can use a paramedic or someone who is you can upgrade the skills of your nurses, and then in some places you can have more nurses rather than doctors looking after everything. So we can think about all these solutions. Now the problem with this PMJAY is that despite having an apparently formidable beneficiary base, it still has a small share in the overall scenario of inpatient care provision. The main reason behind it is less numbers of empaneled hospitals. Private hospitals are not that much inclined to join this ABPMJAY because they don't get their payment on time. So this is the biggest problem. They have to do so many things to get their payment on time. So this is something that is not acceptable. Government has to fix this. We have this bureaucratic barriers, which are the biggest hurdle, red tapeism and things. And once we get rid of it, and once we have this, if we can treat people with minimum, you can say as less cost as possible, minimum cost, and we have to expand the reach of this PMJAY, and this can be done with the help of innovative technologies, but the cost has to be under control. So there are a few challenges, right? Containing cost, improving care quality, and bridging existing gap in service provisions. These three intentions to achieve all these intentions and to achieve all these targets, right? We have to solve, or not solve, but I would say there are so many problems that we have to fix, right? And then only we can change this impact of this scheme. And that's everything in today's discussion. I'm sure you all have played with colors, right? And of course, Holi is a very interesting festival, right? And I pray and wish that the canvas of your life, may God fill it with as many colors as possible. May you have a very colorful, beautiful, happy life. So I'll see you with the daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. Stick your answer in the comment section. Hit the like button, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video with other students. Happy Holi. Jai Hind.